Hi, before we get going, welcome to Thoughtful Little Time Bombs. If I could ask you to subscribe, to share, to like, and to comment, let's get going. Hi, and welcome to Thoughtful Little Time Bombs again. I hope you're well. Welcome back if you're coming back, and if it's the first time, thank you for coming here. You are most welcome, and I hope you learned something and realise that the Thoughtful Little Time Bombs are things that we hear now have no meaning for us. And then somewhere down the line, tonight, next week, next year, it makes sense and it gathers doubts and concerns together and helps maybe find a solution, a way forward. The best one I had was, I spoke about it last week, which is I heard something 35 years ago and it didn't make sense till about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when I left the job. And it was be like silk. If you're being pushed, bullied, and someone's being nasty, just be untouchable, be like silk. So that works. So that's what Thoughtful Little Time Bombs is about, and I hope that you will hang around, and I hope that it has value for you. I keep saying there's no advice here. We pick up something if it has value for us, and we may be picking it up unconsciously, and it'll be presented to us in the future by a desperate unconscious that wants you to succeed. So there we are. The Grand Wibbly. Before I go on about Grand Wibbly Wobbly, the cat at the moment, I think it's a bunny fest here. It's a bunny fest, and I've saved 2 bunnies so far and a little mouse. They're going crazy. They're just breeding, and poor little things are getting born without any common sense. And there's a smart cat watching them at all times. And so I was making supper last night at the sink, looking out the window towards the west, and it was lovely sunset going on. And I caught something corner of my eye, and I looked, and there's a cat going down the corridor towards my bedroom with a rabbit in its mouth. Shadow had a rabbit in his mouth, and I don't think they were going into the bedroom to dance or to do naughties. I think it was, knowing the cat, there would have been surgery going on. So I put a stop to that. I saved the bunny. Looks like I saved the bunny. I checked that it hadn't been bitten behind the neck. It was mobile. It was angry. It wanted to get away. It was panicking, poor bleeding thing. So I took it out, put it on top of an earth wall, and it scampered off. So I think that sorted him out. Baby bunny. It was a baby bunny as well, so I'm sad about that. Anyway, so the Grand Wibbly Wobbly does speak to me still, and it puts ideas in my head that I don't anticipate have any value until they have value afterwards, or maybe when I speak about them they may have value for you. The only advice I'm going to get here, as I said, is medical advice, as in, before you do this, go and see a doctor. Before you do anything that involves exertion, cold water, or emotional trauma, go and see, go and have a chat with a doctor. Okay, and that's it. There'll be no legal, pharmacological, anything logical kind of advice to you. Right, the Grand Wibbly Wobbly has been speaking to me, and indirectly, obviously. But the first one is the obvious one that he keeps thrusting at me, and that is, I'm going to die. I'm going to die sometime in the future. I hope it's far future. And between now and then, everything else I've wanted to do in my life that I haven't done in the last decades, I have to get going and achieve them. And I think the Grand Wibbly Wobbly is aware of the fact that it's not easy. So that's what we're going to talk about. And also the Grand Wibbly Wobbly, I think it's about 6 months ago, and the Grand Wibbly Wobbly spoke to me through the BBC World Service. If I can't sleep at night, or if I wake up at night, the first thing I do is I don't worry. I just turn over, switch the radio on, and I listen to the World Service. And I think I fell asleep before I had finished. So this is an impression more than anything else, and the Grand Wibbly Wobbly speaks in mysterious ways, obviously. The advice from the Grand Wibbly Wobbly this week is, don't fade too early. Okay, don't fade too early, and don't commit to fading too early. I'll explain that in a bit. I'll give you an understanding of what the program was about. It was about elite athletes and good athletes. Elite athletes have an attitude that has them running themselves into the ground. There's no more to give. Their commitment is such, their professionalism is such, their attitude is such that they are able to push until they're nearly dead. They'll push themselves into the ground. There's nothing else to give. And it's interesting that they have a knowledge of their physiology. Their minds are fixed, and they have psychologists, I'm sure, help them push that extra mile or so. But what they have is a profoundly detailed understanding of their body, how it works, how much capacity it has. So when they think they're slowing down, the data that they've been given in all these tests tells them that, no, you've got more to give. And because they run and practice at extreme paces in labs for long times, they understand the feelings in their body, and they know, I have so much more, a few quanta more to give. So they understand their body, and that's one thing about elite athletes, able to disabled, is that they know exactly where their limit is. And after that, it's about, I don't know what it is, it's that magical thing about being human where we do superhuman things. They will know when they're depleted, but they still manage to push that extra mile. Now, which is brilliant. I've never been at that level. Never been at that level. Then they spoke about athletes, and I'm guessing now, as I said, didn't see the beginning of the program, listened to the beginning or the end of it, but I picked up enough. And they're talking about good athletes. I'm talking about people who run in the minor leagues at county level, competitively, amateur but competitively. And these are, compared to the rest of us, these are, again, compared to me, they're elite. But one difference between them and elite athletes is an obvious one. And the data showed this again and again and again. The data showed that these people give up while their bodies still have incredible capacity to give more. They just fade. There's a capacity that they have that they never ever exercise. They never get to it because for some reason the mind stops at that point. It's curious, but it's a real phenomenon. And that's the sort of thing we're going to be talking about today. And from the point of view of achieving dreams, this is important because we tend to believe that we do not have that capacity to follow through to achieve our dreams. And yet clearly we have, at a mental level, at a physical level, we have more capacity than we think, and we discover this in crisis. So I'm just going to have a cup of tea, make tea, as usual, office oxygen, as I used to call it. So what we're going to be talking about is that gap, gap that we between achievement and where we fade, where we stop off, and why we stop off. And having knowledge of that, really simply having knowledge of that, gives you an edge. It for me, it's the difference between somebody who uses capacity is the millionaire, and somebody who doesn't is on a decent wage. It's that, okay? That's what it's about for me. It's just using all that we have and more, and it could be intellectual, it could be philosophical, it could be physical. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if we can liberate more energy for you. Okay? Right. Achieving dreams depends on using that extra capacity because you've got so used to believing that you're not supposed to achieve those dreams, whatever they might be, a distant place, language, dancing. Keep coming back to that. Whatever it is important to you. It may involve great effort, might means having to locate elsewhere. Whatever is special for you, and because it's been there on the shelf beside us for so long, we've even got used to the idea that it's not going to happen. Okay? Achieving your dream depends on your capacity and using all your capacity. It has nothing to do with luck. It is about creating a world in which that an intellectual world, mental world, where that dream is a possibility that can be achieved, and these are the means by which I'm going to achieve it. Okay? Right. So we live by a series of expectations of ourselves. You could be with, I don't know, grandparents or family or whatever, and somebody will be standing next to your brother, and somebody will point at your brother and say, he's the smart one, he's the clever one, therefore I must be the thick one. Or somebody points across the room to you and say, he's the shy one. We become, these are like projections. This is like social programming. This is us becoming what people believe we are, and we're undeveloped. We might have been shy, and if they hadn't told us we were shy, we might have become I don't know, something out loud and I don't know, a phenomenon. But they've told us often enough that we are timid, therefore we believe that we are timid and that we're not the intelligent one. People should really be careful with what they say to children, because they can be damaging, and they can be damaging in the long run. And the emotions that we attach to an observation like that as a child, we still feel it as adults, but as a child's feeling and disappointment. And as adults, we have that feeling again, and because it is complicated by the fact that it happened to a child, we can't explain it, and therefore it hurts equally. So these things don't always go away. I mean, the other thing, and this is something I'm going to say again and again and again, I keep doing it, is never share your dreams. Never share your dreams, unless you find somebody who is special, who's role in life is to say, that's a good idea, let's do it, I'll give you a hand, you have my full backing, and they mean it and they follow through. Those are the only people you share anything with, any dream, because as we'll talk about next, people don't like individuals having complicated, wonderful dreams, delightful dreams, and then working to achieve them. You'd be surprised how few people do. The moment you tell people, they'll say, oh, that's brilliant, that's brilliant. Did you hear what he's going to do? He's going to do this, he's going to do that, he's going to, etc. So you've got, unfortunately, in society, you've got various level of toxicity. There are people who have not achieved, have not pushed. Maybe they don't realise they have the capacity, they're not as fortunate as we. And there's a community not far away from here, and it's been damaged. Every single industry it's had has been removed over the last 20 years. Everything. No, going back 40 years, I think, going back to Margaret Thatcher in 1980, mid-80s, I think. Anyway, they've suffered grievously, and that town now has a chip on its shoulder. And it has received wisdom in that town that nobody will succeed. They're not destined to succeed. It's a message that's passed on unconsciously to children. When I used to work in that town many years ago, a friend came into the office and he was angry first thing in the morning, barely got in, the kettle had just been put on, and the guy just storms into the office and he was angry as hell. And I thought, okay, I haven't done anything, and he's a mate, so just that, as my friend said, let him get his rocks off. His daughter had ambition. Her ambition was to go into administration because she's a smart young lady, and she had decided that with high qualifications in administration, she can work anywhere, in any industry, in any organisation, and it's a capacity that can take her anywhere in the world, really. Two of the jobs can achieve that, and this is not undermining what I've just said about this wonderful person, is that who said this, in which book. Dishwashing is one. You can get a job dishwashing anywhere in the world and you get paid for it, a basic wage. And the other one is lorry driving. Although most of the time you got to drive on the wrong side of the road if you're elsewhere. Anyway, so he was angry because his daughter wanted to go into administration, and she had been telling him over breakfast what the other girls in her class had wanted to do. And this is a town, as I said, with a chip on his shoulder, who had been defeated and kicked in again and again and again. And this is the message it was passing to his kids. The message the girls in her class, this girl with ambition, was that, and this is them saying, you know me, is that the girls wanted to get pregnant and then get a council house. That was it. That was the breadth, depth and height of their ambition. That is what they had been taught within this community to become. And it was an exception for this person. And I can't imagine she would be hanging around with them or they'd be hanging around with her, because she was getting out on this town. So these people there's a social collusion in communities and in groups as well, but let's start with communities, that like this town where nobody was to succeed. And if you were in such a community, then my advice, oh God, this thing I'm putting on this shelf, virtual shelf behind me, of act quietly, plan quietly, of dream quietly, plan quietly and act quietly. It is important, because people will make fun of you. So you've got this social collusion on many, many things. And one was for this girl, too much. She found it so offensive. She told her dad. Her dad came and told me, and I was shocked. I'm not really shocked. I anticipated it, really. You could see it around. So anyway, so you've got the toxicity that exists even in a kind community, that you're not going to succeed. So it doesn't matter how much capacity you've got for stepping beyond the expectation in your mind through indoctrination, through programming, through, I don't know, putting a chip in your head and a chip on your shoulder, is that you're not going to succeed, and you'll never ever get to use up that capacity that you have, that wonderful capacity, that stuff that is the difference between a good wage and a millionaire. It's wrong to stay and support in that situation, because you are destroying your life. What you should be doing is giving the best of what you've got for you in achieving your dreams, whatever those dreams are, and hope that people come with you on your coattails, and they might get inspired and they might find the capacity within themselves as well. It's not easy. People tend to give up too soon, which is the theme here. This is what the Grand Wibbly Wobbly wanted me to speak about this week. We give up too soon, we fade too soon. Okay, give me a moment, I need to check something. I haven't been able to eat properly for a very long time, and eventually I decided to go to the doctor. It could be worse. It could be worse than I hope it is. It could be much worse. It could be stomach cancer, could be something horrible, could be, whatever. I went to the doctor and I explained the symptoms to him, his consultant, and he said, I'll give you these. I think it sounds like this, but what we'll do is we will give you this medicine for acid reflux, and if that works, great, it will improve the quality of your life immensely. And he said, but what we will also do is we'll put you down for an appointment in the near future to have a camera down. By the way, no need, and the omeprazole, if you know this stuff, for Latadine, it works. And for the first time in a very long time, I got an appetite. An ant. So I got an appetite, and it's great. I actually look forward to eating now, whereas eating was physically, literally a pain. I don't need to do that when I go to bed, and I'm fine. Anyway, so he said, go to your doctor and go to your own GP, and when they run out, get him to give you a new prescription. So a fortnight later, they ran out just before they made an appointment. Doctor phoned me up. It's a good system we have. He phoned me up and explained, and he said, yeah, fine, okay, and I'll give you some other stuff as well. And I'm not a guy for tablets, but this was just, I couldn't eat, so therefore I wanted to eat. And anyway, he said, I'll book you in for a number of tests. He said, you're of that age and we need to look at your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your liver, your prostate, and God knows what else. And I don't know, he said red blood cells, white blood cells, and whatever it was. And so he said, make an appointment, come in. I went, so he made an appointment then, but the following week I went into the surgery, met the nurse, and before anything else she took my blood pressure and then the blood supply, and then took a blood sample. And then before she took the blood sample, she looked at my blood pressure and she said, that's 110/60. I said, is that good? He said, that's very good, that's brilliant. I said, okay, and somebody said afterwards in the hospital, and this is, hopefully it wasn't bloody ironic, said 110/60, you live forever. I'm one of these people, I just feel generally rubbish all the time, but it doesn't stop me doing things. I think it's tiredness, exhaustion, but I think, so, you know, and I think it's just psychological, because clearly the doctor phoned me a week afterwards and said, these are the tests results, and you're fine with everything that we took, and give me a family history, and I gave him family history, and I said we cursed with hearts, male and female side, and that's it. And he said, well, there's nothing we can do about that, but what we can do is help protect you as much as possible, which is, you know, good medicine, stop something happening, you know, that's the important thing. And he said, okay, what's your height? 6 foot. What's your weight? And I told him my weight. And he said, he was tapping it into, we've got an algorithm, he said, and this is telling me, comes up with a figure of how likely it is you're going to be unwell in the next, seriously unwell in the next 10 years. I said, okay, fine. He said, everything's fine. Family history we can do nothing about, so it's a factor. But what we can do is, one thing you can do here now is your BMI, your body mass index, which I think is height and body weight, is slightly too high. It's 14.9. I want it down lower. So I want you to, a couple of times a week, I want you to do some cardio stuff, which is run. Do some running, do anything that gets you breathless for an extended period of time, about half an hour, and then until you need to shower, till you need to change, etc. Do it a couple of times a week. And watch what you eat more salads and stuff. So I've been doing that. I tend to walk every morning. I listen to French. I walk in fresh air. I get sun in my eyes. I walk. I wake up properly. And I thought, okay, fine. Because I've got heart issues in the family, I'm not going to run because running is bad for me. And I said, so I'll just watch what I eat, and I shall do as much exercise as I possibly can by walking as fast as I can, because I don't run because I don't want a heart attack. It's you know, a real concern, to believe. And then I fast tracked, and I was thinking, this is not getting what the doctor was on about. And I was worried about, where the hell am I going to lose weight? How am I going to lose weight? I eat two meals a day, and nothing exceptionally heavy about those. And then one morning, a couple of weeks ago, I was walking as fast as I can, listening to French lesson on my earbuds, and then I just realized I was running. The body had started running. Hadn't told me. The brain hadn't been involved, and I was running. It's like the body wanted to run, and that capacity for running that I thought I didn't have because of health, etc. And then I realized as I was running, I stopped, and I thought, okay, I feel okay, and I ran a bit more. I stopped again, and I felt I'm okay. And by the end of the session, it's about an hour and a half session, I was running there and back, quarter mile up the track, quarter mile back. And I was using capacity I had been denying myself. And then I realised that the doctor wouldn't have told me to do cardio work. That's how stupid we can be. I wouldn't be suggesting hard cardio work unless he felt I was very healthy. But I was still stuck in this mentality of I can't push any more than I am pushing because I might drop dead. And the doctor had clearly, and I hadn't heard him, I hadn't listened to him perfectly, that yeah, you've got the capacity and you've got good health. Use it to improve the quality of life and your future. So I found out that I now like running. I'd given up running about 7-8 years ago for the simple reason I must be too old to run now, and because of the family history I've got to watch it. And it was wrong. It was completely wrong. Okay, we've got another sip of tea, and yeah, so we can, for the best reasons in the world, we think we can be wrong. Many years ago I used to climb and used to train 4 or 5 times a week for 2 hours in the afternoon on a proper climbing wall, one without plastic holes in it, just rock holes. And or we'd find a wall, a built wall that was challenging to climb. We'd do that, and we were very strong on those walls. And when it came to climbing on some serious routes, we used to climb way below the standard we did on climbing walls. We knew we had the strength, and we knew that we had the capacity for climbing longer and harder than we did. And it was this expectation we had in our heads. And were I able to go back and climb then with the knowledge I have now, I reckon we would have done some incredible stuff. Climbing does require bravery, and there's no denying that. And it's you do the sport because you love doing the sport, but it is a dangerous sport. And in order to do it to a high level, as we used to do, that level has been moved. People have moved beyond that level now, but you have to be brave. And it's the message I've spoken about before, is that being brave in one part of your life means you have the capacity to be brave in another part of your life. I was checking the microphone was on. I'll repeat that. That being brave in one part of your life demonstrates that you have capacity to be brave in other parts of your life. Something crossed my mind a while back, and it is having a hinterland. A hinterland is good, is where you can be who you are and discover different capacities within yourself. And for me, when I think of hinterland, it's an elsewhere. And it's just by word association. When I think of hinterland, I think of Fenland. And it's just word association. And when I think of Fenland, I think of ornithologists. And ornithologists, I think, I'm sort of envious of them, and maybe I should go and do it to learn. But what they do is they pack their flask in the morning. They've got their waterproofs, good quality waterproofs, camouflaged obviously, good set of binoculars, good binoculars that they will bore you to death about their qualities and their details and the capacities. And a reference book with pictures of birdies and what type of birdies. They say you're going coastal, or you're going to Fenland, or I know people who go abroad to take pictures of and to find and take pictures of birds. So find yourself a hinterland. It can be in your head. It could be writing. What's wrong with that? Do it. It could be dancing, my favourite topic, which means I should be going out to dance. Ornithology. Hinterland, Fenland, coastal. Do things that are outside of your expectation, certainly outside of the expectation of other people. Live your best life. Live your best life. And remember, quite simply, that dreams have to be achieved. Okay? It's not a gimme. Dreams are necessarily difficult because they're special. Make an effort. You have the capacity. So, step aside from the company of people who bring toxicity into your life, whether it's intentional or unintentional. If you can't take people with you, then don't take them with you. So, an interesting saying, I love it, and it says, it goes, everything you've ever wanted lies on the other side of everything you've never tried. I think it's marvellous, and I think keep that in mind as your mantra. Everything you've ever wanted lies on the other side of everything you've never tried. So I wish you well. I wish you well, and I hope the little thoughtful little time bomb goes off for you and it's useful, and I wish you so much good fortune and love and anything that helps you on your way. So, like I keep saying, subscribe, like, and share this with whoever you feel might need it. So subscribe, like, and share. It feeds the algorithm. I think it's like a little snake or a cuddly little thing, but it can be ferocious, a bit like the cat. I think that's what an algorithm is. Take care. Bye. Speak soon.